Well, the old paradigm, of course, is only old because I want it to be old, because really it's the current paradigm in many ways, right? But I think we're many who are at least sensing that a new paradigm really wants to be born. And so the old paradigm has all kinds of labels, right? Patriarchy or white male supremacy or internalized capitalism or whatever we want to call it. And I think there is some truth to all of those labels, but it's easier for me to just kind of relate to it as the current structure of industrialized understanding, or whatever we want to say, that's been existing in the world for and by and large been the dominant paradigm for the last many hundred years. And it's produced incredible outcomes. Let's not forget that. We have Western medication is always my default, because I know I wouldn't be here without Western medication, and probably my kids wouldn't either, right? The likelihood that most of us would have died if Western medicine hadn't been developed over these last couple of hundred years is pretty high. And we're able to, fly around the world. I'm able to do the work that I do because I can sit in front of a screen with light and plastic and talk to people from all over the world, and then I can fly out there and have a nice nap, loungy nap, while I'm mid-air hovering, and then I wake up and I'm in a different continent and a different time zone and so on. Remarkable innovations, of course. And it's had incredible unintended consequences that have accumulated over time. Carl Sagan, who's a hero of mine, addressed the United States Senate, I think it was in 1986, basically predicting exactly the situation we're in now. He said, if we're not dealing with the consequences of what will become climate change, if we're not dealing with the consequences of emitting this much CO2 into the atmosphere, we're pushing it onward to future generations, and future generations will have a much harder time dealing with it because it'll be the accumulated effects. That's what we're sitting in right now. And basically, right now, we're not taking action. We're still kind of placing it forward. Somebody has to deal with it, right? And we don't know how to. So the old paradigm, the paradigm that we've all grown up in, we've internalized. That means all the ways in which we're thinking about things, the way we're relating to our surroundings, all of that's just the way it is, like war. There's no other solution than armed conflict or education. Well, it's too bad that it doesn't have to be fun. It doesn't have to be interesting. Kids sitting in rows, teachers telling them what to do, and outcomes of reading and writing and learning science and math. And it's just not adequate for today's situation. Birthing a new paradigm, of course, no one person can do that, or no one orientation can do that. But I think we're many who know that usually the pendulum will flip to the very other side. So we could get a very chaotic structures coming out of it. We could have a heavy focus on the matriarchy instead of the patriarchy. We could have all kinds of ways in which the pendulum would swing the other way. If we could successfully contribute to shaping a new paradigm, it will be one of integration. It'll be one where we take everything that we've learned and that we have benefited from in the old paradigm and build that into the new. A paradigm of integration that has to do with understanding that we, the humans, are all, by effect, global citizens, and we have to protect our habitats, and we can only do that together. And that it's, yes, the whole conversation around war, for example, is really, really hard to see how we can disarm the world when we have this focus of $2.4 trillion a year going into the industry of creating more weapons. I saw the numbers once. I don't remember exactly how many times we're able to kill ourselves and everything off on the planet with only the actual weapons that exist right now. The amount of self-destruction that's kind of inherent or habitually built into the old structure is something that I think we have to become. It has to become visible to us that we are, in fact, the only species with this level of self-destruction. We're the only species with this level of violence, and we're doing it to ourselves, right? So there's something in there where we just haven't quite figured out how to be humans in a good way. And my hope is that we can help birthing this new paradigm before it's too late. And we have, in fact, killed ourselves off in more massive numbers than we are at the current situation, and then seeing how can we integrate in a good way, how can we live here with nature in a respectful and regenerative manner, in understanding that our own nature, our inner nature and outer nature that surrounds us are intricately connected, so that if we don't attend to what's going on in here, it'd be very hard for us to also have restorative practices with our habitats. And our livelihood depends on that. If we go extinct, it'll be if human beings go extinct, it'll be a couple of decades, and then the nature will flourish and rebalance. If bees go extinct, we are going to be screwed over within a decade, right? If the pollinators are not here, it's really unlikely that we'll be able to survive as a species. So something about the kind of perspective of who we are and how we contribute to the planetary system that we're part of, I think is it's just worth a reflection at least. So bringing about this new paradigm is not something we can do. I can't underscore that enough. But the many of us who would like to live and be and do differently on our planet today, we have to come together to do that. And we have to have some kind of organizing framework and organizing structures to do that. Now, the Compassionate Systems Framework is an exemplar of what can be done. It doesn't work for everyone. It's not a one-size-fits-all. We are firm believers in diversity and variation, so there should be many different ways in which we can do this. But if we have a shared aspiration for the kind of outcomes that we would like to see, the kind of world that we would like to, the kind of reality we'd like to live in instead, then I think we can come together and really try to shift the narrative. And that's at least what we're aspiring to contribute to in our time here.